The race for the White House is heating up. The Democratic candidates for president taking the debate stage last night, all 10 of them on stage together for the first time, and they're not holding back. Here to help me break it all down is political analyst Jeremiah Jaspin and Carl Jackson. Gents, good to have you here with us this morning. Let's start with this first little bit here, a not-so-subtle swipe at Joe Biden's age.
Are you forgetting what you said 2 minutes ago? Are you forgetting already what you said just 2 minutes ago? I'm fulfilling the legacy of Barack Obama, and you're not.
I'll be surprised to him.
You almost want to have Joe Biden take a page book out of Ronald Reagan and say, I will not, for the sake of political points, take advantage of my opponent's youth and inexperience. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
What was your reaction to that? Jeremiah?
I thought Castro looked petty and small, and I think it's the end of his campaign here. He's kind of grasping at being the guy who is with Obama and trying to take away that mantle from the vice president, and I don't think it worked. I think it really backfired on him.
Carl, you agree?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I think time after time in these debates, Julian Castro has proved that he's a guy that can deliver zingers, but not much substance in them. And I don't think last night changes that at all.
All right, well, let's get to this next little clip here because, Carl, I really think this is probably giving you red meat for the next couple of weeks, this latest comment from Beto.
Yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
That worked in that hall, Carl, but how do you think it's playing with the rest of the country?
Yeah, that's something that a dictator would say. We have the Second Amendment here, and by the way, according to the CDC and the FBI, there are good defense gun stops every 13 seconds in the United States, so more guns are used to save lives than ever kill people. And for Beto to say that, listen, he is going after his base, and that's fine and swell, but we have a Second Amendment. Those guns are self-defense guns. Those guns are anti-dictator guns. And Beto or no one else is going to be taking them away.
Jeremiah?
Well, Beto's been talking about this consistently, and it's no surprise that he's saying that. But we're going to see President Trump here today talk about some kind of gun legislation. So it's something that majority of Americans want to see happen. The question is to what extent.
Carl, let me just follow up because according to a lot of the polls, a lot of the country is in favor of better background checks and so forth. Do you think this is not going to play with the rest of the country?
No, honestly, I think a lot of Americans are uninformed when it comes to background checks. Listen, I'm a concealed weapons carrier. I collect guns. You go through a background check. What these people are saying is just a flat-out lie. The problem is you're not going to change people's hearts with a law. People that are going to kill people, people that are that evil are going to continue to kill people. They're going to figure out ways to get their hands on guns. It's not going to work. Maybe these people will feel better about themselves. They'll pat themselves on the back. But ultimately, you're not going to stop gun violence. The only way to stop gun violence is to make sure there's a concealed weapons carrier with a bigger gun around to kill the assassin.
I want to get to this last little bit here because obviously their main goal is to get Trump out of office. Here's Buttigieg talking about basically the Democrats eating their own.
This is why presidential debates are becoming unwatchable.
Yeah,
this reminds everybody of what they cannot stand about Washington.
Carl, what's your response to that?
Yeah, honestly, I think they're unwatchable, for one, because they're too long, and they're talking about things that simply aren't going to be accomplished. Listen, we have a House, we have a Senate. A lot of these ideas that the Democrats are proposing, people know instinctively aren't going to go anywhere when they get to Washington, D.C. It sounds great in theory, but it's a lot of their policies simply aren't going to happen. And they need to break the debates down into 2 debates. It's 10 people in one. It's just too much.
Jeremiah, let me say this because it really is true. Whoever emerges as the nominee is then going to be exposed all of their flaws by the people who are then cheering for them to get into the White House.
Yeah. And I mean, when you look at a guy like Biden, to me, he's the only one who can actually take on Trump and perhaps win of all of them. He showed he's a moderate. He attacked Bernie Sanders. He attacked Elizabeth Warren. That was the first time he came out and kind of attacked them on some of their policy positions. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes moving forward. But I thought it was a really good night.
I'm getting the wrap here, Jeremiah, but I want to ask you, did Biden come through and look presidential, or did he do enough?
I think he did enough. I don't think that the dynamics of the election changed one bit, but I thought he did do a great job last night.
Okay, well, gentlemen, it was always great to have you here breaking down the Democratic debate. We'll keep your phone numbers handy for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks.